Yer.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Can you
How
hear me?
I can hear you.
You know who this is?
Oh, this is. How are you?
Mama,
I
I
love you.
miss
I
you.
miss you. I miss all of you. I'm gonna give it maybe like 3 more minutes for folks to join, and then we're gonna jump in. And so we're gonna do some writing today. We're gonna we just jumping in. I'm gonna ease you in just a little bit, but we get into work. So while we wait for folks to join, I have not taught a writing workshop in a year. I took all of last year off. I to work on my memoir, and so which was really beautiful. And so I knew that entering 2025, I was going to hit the ground just running, and I'm back in the US. And so I'm going to be hosting writing workshops in person, alongside just other offerings that I'm doing this year. I'm going on a La Santera world tour, which I'm really excited about. I just felt like after spending an entire year locked in, that me coming back out, this is the time for me to like just serve and share my gifts and be in community again. The lighting is dark, right? Catherine, you're saying it's dark?
I can still see you. It's a little bit because the sun is like coming up behind you.
Right behind me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like if I get closer up on the screen, that's all right. All you have to do is hear me. You don't really need to see me. You don't need to see
We
me.
feel you. We feel
To
you.
feel
That's all.
me. And so tell me how you've been, Catherine. What have you been doing? What have you been writing? Like, catch me up.
Oh, a lot has happened. I literally just moved to Pennsylvania, to Philly 3 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Um, there's a lot of wellness, like just relationships and community that I've been building out here. I did a yoga teacher training.
Nice.
So stepping into wellness and making a plan to quit my full-time job and take some time for myself to fully get back to writing and
Yeah.
share. So it's a whole new face, lots of changes, lots of things, lots of purging, a lot of purging, a lot of letting go. So all these new things can come in and shine through.
I love that for you. This year, I'm gonna turn maybe this way so there's a little bit more light.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's better.
Um, I love that for you. Congratulations on Philly. I
Thank
I
you.
know that everything is going to align in your favor. I know that everything is going to work out. I think that it was a very bold and courageous move. Shit is not easy. And so
Mhm.
congratulations. It takes a very brave soul to be like, you know what? I'm just going to throw myself out there. I'm going to leap and know that there's a net. There's a net, that there's something. And so I'm
Full energy, fool's journey, full on.
proud of you. And this is an important year, Catherine. Like this is a 9 year. This is a year of like transformation. This is the year of the snake. And so like if you research all those things,
Mm.
like it's not surprising to me that you've moved. A lot of people are experiencing that sort of shift, myself included. And so word, congrats. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Marquita,
you.
catch me up. What's good? What's good? What's
Girl. Um, y'all bear with me. My body is responding to this invite.
Hmm.
Uh, the last time I was in community with you guys, I was feeling great about, organizing and telling my story. And my family kind of got together and literally distracted me for about a year and a half. When I say after writing class ended, I abruptly got moved. Like I got put out in a day, if that makes sense. I have then added to my story, being a constant advocate about child trafficking and human trafficking. I was attempted trafficked. um, there was a hit put out on my life, and I am in the midst of literally working on calling out the FBI, if you can imagine, because they did not take me serious when I initially sent out the claim. And now they're realizing that this is an actual killer and they're actually figuring out a past crime based off of me speaking up. Imagine. So, this is extremely important because I know only you can help me organize my thoughts the way you do and help me process my personal story
Yeah.
and how it coincides with this because believe it or not, it's actually connected. So,
Mhm. Well, let's breathe for a moment because that's a lot that you're holding in your body. And so, I want to honor that. Thank you for sharing that, for being vulnerable. I'm so sorry that you have had to, live through that sort of trauma and stress, you know. So let's breathe for a moment, right? So I can hold space and let's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Last one, inhale, exhale. I get it. Like we are filled with, there's so much. I'm a little emotional right now because my ADD is moving quickly and I'm intentionally trying to slow down my thoughts so that the words that I say today are received with love and intention. I know that as like a writing midwife and a writing teacher and a writer myself, I have a lot of high energy and I move with a lot of aggression. And so today, as we, move into the writing, I wanna slow it down because I get what you're saying, Marquita, about having all of these thoughts and all of these things and trying to figure out what's the most important thing and how to enter it. And so I honor the writer in you that wants to honor the writing in that way. And so, first of all, I'm sorry that you had to live through all of that fucked up trauma. And second, I want to say I understand in the role that I'm in as your, facilitator and midwife, you were built for this shit. Like there's nothing you can't write. There's nothing you can't live through, and there's nothing you can't get out and onto the page in the way it wants to come out. So I'm not going to use words like organized way and structured way because a lot of our experiences are very fucking messy. I was afraid to even title, this workshop what I titled it, right? The Un-American Dream, right? That's the title of the 4-week workshop because I was like, it's gonna deter people. It's gonna feel whatever it is that rises for people about, what an un-American dream looks and feels like. And what I know to be true and I feel called to is the truth is that a lot of us have lived through a nightmare or living through a nightmare, or maybe not. Maybe your life is fucking fantastic. Your finances are good. You have no worries in the world. You're living your life with intention and purpose, and that's fucking dope. And maybe the writing that you choose to do today is rewriting that, like showing those of us who may not be living that fucking dream what life could look like. I'm 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 on board with that, but it's not necessarily my experience. I've taught some writing workshops and I've had some really great writers who've said, when I bring like a writing an excerpt, right? I bring an essay or a lyric of a song, and a lot of the things that I'm drawn to connect to struggle and pain. Like a lot of the things that I feel like I can relate to are those things that speak to my lived experience. And so that is also where I teach from. I don't teach from trauma. I like to believe that I teach from a place of relating to the struggle. We get it. We fucking get each other and we see each other. And so, but also on the other side of that is like surviving it and thriving. All my people are thriving and in abundance. And so yeah, man, we here and so the theme, let me drop in the Zoom an essay that you can read at your leisure. What I'm going to read to you, it's Edwidge Dandicat, chapter 1. Let me know that you got it. It's a PDF. Let me know that you have it and can see it.
Got it.
You got it.
Got it.
Word. Cool. So the workshop is called The Un-American Dream. It's a generative writing workshop. And the question that, I'm asking in the 4 weeks that we meet is, what does this American dream mean when, our families have had to sacrifice everything to be here, and how do we tell our stories, about these ideas of belonging and home and identity. And some of us who are living through or living with, the immigrant experience, are also feeling displaced too, right? And so this workshop's intention is like to turn our personal experiences into, profound narrative. And so the workshop in itself is for people who write poetry, memoir, fiction, personal essay, any form of storytelling. And my intention is to help you structure that work and leave having something, right? Having the beginning of something, having the bones of something, having a lot of pages written, because I'm gonna make you write, is what I do. And so we're gonna start today with this idea of writing as resistance, right? Writing as resistance, inspired by the essay Create Dangerously by Edwidge Dandicat. And so I'm going to read to you because, what I ask you to do is just like take some notes, like what's resonating for you, what's jumping out to you, what do you feel like you could steal, and like expand on. And I'm going to jump around in the essay. I am going to share the screen, but I'm not going to read it entirely. Let me know if you can see the essay. Mhm. Before I read Edwige's essay, I want to quickly tell you a little bit about her. So Edwidge Danticat is a Haitian American novelist, short story writer. Her first novel, Breath, Eyes, Memory, was published in '94, becoming an Oprah Book Club selection. She has written many, many books. One of the books that I have loved is Crick Crack. And so she's been the recipient of many awards and honors. Her work is themed, the themes are national identity, mother-daughter relationships, diasporic politics. And it says that in 23, she was named the Woon Soon Tam Mellon Professor of Humanities in the Department of African American and African Diasporic Studies at Columbia. So let's go. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Allow. Let me see. Where is it? Can you see the essay? Give me a thumbs up. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Word. Chapter 1, Create Dangerously, the Immigrant Artist at Work. On November 12th, 1964, in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, a huge crowd gathered to witness an execution. The president of Haiti at the time was the dictator Francois Papadoc Duvalier, who was 7 years into what would be a 15-year term. On the day of the execution, he decreed that government offices be closed so that hundreds of state employees could be in the crowd. Schools were shut down and principals ordered to bring their students. Hundreds of people from outside the capital were bussed in to watch. The two men to be executed were Marcel Numa and Louis Drouin. Marcel Numa was a tall, dark-skinned 21-year-old. He was from a family of coffee planters in a beautiful southern Haitian town called Jeremier, which is often dubbed the City of Poets. Numa had studied engineering at the Bronx Merchant Academy in New York and had worked for an American shipping company. Louis Drouin, nicknamed Milou, was a 31-year-old light-skinned man who was also from Jeremier. He had served in the U.S. Army at Fort Knox and then at Fort Dix in New Jersey, and had studied finance before working for French, Swiss, and American banks in New York. Marcel Numa and Louis Drouin had been childhood friends in Jeremier. The men had remained friends when they both moved to New York in the 50s after Francois Duvalier came to power. They had joined a group called Jeunes Haïti, or Young Haiti, and were two of 13 Haitians who left the United States for Haiti in 1964 to engage in a guerrilla war that they hoped would eventually topple the Duvalier dictatorship. I'm going to jump. 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 Let me go here. A young white priest in a long robe walks out of the crowd with a prayer book in his hands. It seems that he is the person everyone has been waiting for. The priest says a few words to Drouin, who slides his body upward in a defiant pose. Drouin motions with his head toward his friend. The priest spends a little more time with Numa, who bobs his head as the priest speaks. If this is Numa's extreme unction, it is an abridged version. The priest then returns to Drouin and is joined there by a stout Macoute in plain clothes and by two uninformed policemen who lean in to listen to what the priest is saying to Drouin. It is possible that they are all offering Drouin some type of eye or face cover that he's refusing. Drouin shakes his head as if to say, let's get it over with. No blinders or hoods are placed on either man. The firing squad, 7 helmeted men in khaki military uniforms, stretch out their hands on either side of their bodies. They touch each other's shoulders to position and space themselves. The police and army move the crowd back, perhaps to keep them from being hit by ricocheted bullets. The members of the firing squad pick up their Springfield rifles, load their ammunition, and then place their weapons on their shoulders. Off screen, someone probably shouts, "Fire!" And they do. Numa and Druin's heads slump sideways at the same time, showing that the shots have hit home. I'm going to skip. The next day, Le Matin, the country's national newspaper, described the stunned-looking crowd as feverish, communicating in a mutual patriotic exaltation to curse adventurism and brigandage. The government pamphlets circulating in Port-au-Prince last week left little to the imagination, reported the November 27, 1964 edition of the American News Weekly Time. Dr. Francois Duvalier will fulfill his sacrosanct mission. He has crushed and will always crush the attempts of the opposition. Think well, renegades. Here is the fate awaiting you and your kind. All artists, writers among them have several stories. One might call them creation myths that haunt and obsess them. This is one of mine. I don't even remember when I first heard about it. I feel as though I have always known it, having filled in the curiosity-driven details through photographs, newspaper, and magazine articles, books, and films as I've gotten older. Like many a creation myth, aside from its heart-rending clash of life and death, homeland and exile, the execution of Marcel Numa and Louis Druin involves a disobeyed directive from a higher authority and a brutal punishment as a result. If we think back to the biggest creation myth of all, the world's very first people, Adam and Eve, disobeyed the superior being that fashioned them out of chaos, defying God's order not to eat what must have been the world's most desirable apple. Adam and Eve were then banished from Eden, resulting in everything from our having to punch a clock to spending many long, painful hours giving birth. Let me skip. In his play, Caligula, Albert Camus, from whom I borrow part of the title of this essay, has Caligula, the third Roman emperor, declare that it doesn't matter whether one is exiled or executed, but it is much more important that Caligula has the power to choose. Even before they were executed, Marcel Numa and Louis Druin had already been exiled. As young men, they had fled Haiti with their parents when Papa Doc Duvalier had come to power in 1957 and had immediately targeted for arrest all his detractors and resistors in the city of poets and elsewhere. I'm going to jump. Like most creation myths, this one too exists beyond the scope of my own life, yet it still feels present, even urgent. Marcel Numa and Louis Druin were patriots who died so that other Haitians could live. They were also immigrants like me, yet they had abandoned comfortable lives in the United States and sacrificed themselves for the homeland. One of the first things the despot Duvalier tried to take away from them was the mythic element of their stories. In the propaganda preceding their execution, he labeled them not Haitian, but foreign rebels, good-for-nothing blondes. Jump. In Camus's version of Caligula's life, when Caligula's sister, who is also his lover, dies, Caligula unleashes his rage and slowly unravels. In a preface to an English translation of the play, Camus wrote, "I took in vain for philosophy in these 4 acts. I have little regard for an art that deliberately aims to shock because it is unable to convince. After the executions of Marcel Numa and Louis Drouin, as the images of their deaths played over and over in cinemas and on state-run television, the young men and women of the Club de Bonne Humeur, along with the rest of Haiti, desperately needed art that could convince. They needed art that could convince them that they would not die the same way that Numa and Drouin did. They needed to be convinced that words could still be spoken, that stories could still be told and passed on. The legend of the underground staging of this and other plays' clandestine readings of pieces of literature was so strong that years after Papa Doc Duvalier died, every time there was a political murder in Bel Air, one of the young aspiring intellectuals in the neighborhood where I spent the first 12 years of my life might inevitably say that someone should put on a play. And because the uncle who raised me while my parents were in New York for 2/3 of the first 12 years of my life, because that uncle was a minister in Bel Air and had a church and school with some available space, occasionally some of these plays were read and staged quietly in the backyard of his church. Haitian writers like Marie Vieux Chauvet and René Depestre, among others. Other times they were written by foreign or blonde writers like Amy Césaire, France Fanon, or Albert Camus, who were untouchable because they were either not Haitian or already long dead. The fact that death prevented one from being banished, unlike, say, the English novelist Graham Greene, who was banned from Haiti after writing The Comedians, made the classic writers all the more appealing. Unlike the country's own citizens, these writers could neither be tortured or murdered themselves, nor cause their family members to be tortured or murdered, because those writers who were still in Haiti, not yet exiled or killed, could not freely perform or print their own words outright. Many of them turned or returned to the Greeks. How do writers and readers find each other under such dangerous circumstances? Reading, like writing under these conditions, is disobedience to a directive in which the reader, our Eve, already knows the possible consequences of eating that apple, but takes a bold bite anyway. How does that reader find the courage to take this bite, open that book after an arrest, an execution? Of course, he or she may find it in the power of the hushed chorus of other readers, but she can also find it in the writer's courage in having stepped forward and having written or rewritten in the first place. Create dangerously. For people who read dangerously, this is what I've always thought it meant to be a writer. Writing, knowing in part that no matter how trivial your words may seem, someday, somewhere, someone may risk his or her life to read them. Coming from where I come from, with the history I have, having spent the first 12 years of my life under both dictatorships of Papa Doc and his son, Jean-Claude, this is what I've always seen as the unifying principle among all writers. This is what, among other things, might join Albert Camus and Sophocles to Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, Osip Mandelstam, and Ralph Waldo Emerson to Ralph Waldo Ellison. Somewhere, if not now, then maybe years in the future, a future that we may have yet to dream of. Someone may risk his or her life to read us somewhere. If not now, then maybe years in the future. We may also save someone's life because they have given us a passport, making us honorary citizens of their culture. I'm going to stop there. There are a lot more excerpts that I chose, but I think this is a great place to pause because that's today's theme, right? This idea of creating dangerously. So first of all, let's talk, because I know that was a lot. What resonated? What did you feel connected to? How are you feeling after that very brief and powerful excerpt? Talk to me.
I think it just started with the title for me, like just from the very, very beginning. Just the courage that it takes to express, and how much society, government, like everything else around us, literally our entire lives have tried to suppress. Like it's always been a battle going back to Adam and Eve, just from that very, very moment. But still having that fire, that like need to rebel because it's something within you. It's like it's like, I don't want to call it an itch, but it's just something that if you don't, then like what is the point of life? Even if it does indicate sacrificing your own life or going through all of these crazy situations and whatnot, but I'm still processing.
Oh,
It's a lot.
a lot.
But yeah, the last part too, when she starts talking about it unifying all writers, and that this is the one thing that unifies them. And it brought me to just creatives in general, that creative expression that needs to be expressed, like that childlike quality. It's like that inner child in us that is constantly being suppressed and forced to fit in a box, to mold a certain way, behave a certain way, just to have control over us. Um, just so powerful overall. It's so much.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to writing? Was there a moment? Was there a thing? Like, what brought you to writing? What brought you to, like, tell me your legend story.
Personally, for me, it was what gave me my voice. So putting it on paper, putting it down on words, even though I didn't have people that I felt comfortable with expressing vocally, I knew that I could write it and I knew that I could release it on paper. And so it's just an outlet, it's a release. It's like, okay, at least, even if the people around me, even if family or whatever don't care to listen to me or don't believe me or don't understand what it is that I'm feeling or where I'm coming from, at least maybe I can have a conversation with my higher self or something out there, or God on paper, to be able to express and to release that energy.
I love that. Thank you. Marquita, that excerpt, talk to us.
All right. So, I got my notebook. I want you to know, every writing class, I try to come back stronger, and not in a sense of stronger, because the stronger I am is the most vulnerable, So if you notice, I don't ever look like what I've been through.
You look beautiful, by the way. What? It's giving.
It's giving rebellion. It's giving
Hey.
Empress. My name is Empress now.
Oh, shit.
So I keyworded the trigger words. You had trigger words in that, and I started feeling my emotions moving. So I went and got me something to drink.
Mhm.
But I want to say real quick, I recognize the importance of showing up undone. Because this is such a small space, I appreciate that. I always do. But each time I've done this thing that you haven't done, which is made myself uncomfortable because I'm not as right on time and sitting down with my notebook. Like I felt a type of way, but these are genuine emotions. And you just validated that by reading this. This is real things that I'm writing about. This isn't a fairy tale or made up story or, fantasy that's more coming from a space of enjoyment. This is a hard, gentle medicine that we're breaking down over time to consume safely for our bodies. And I have to accept that my body may feel it. So you just gave me that immediately, that validation. Power to choose, unction and abridged. First of all, I had to write down those words. I'm making my own glossary in my journals now because I don't understand words and I'm okay with that. I'm going to learn these words and then I kind of break them down for myself to understand. But I heard curse adventurism and I said, what the fuck? I heard disobeyed directive and I was like, and I heard world's most desirable apple.
Yeah.
Detractors and resistors. And I said empresses and empresses, bitches and bastards, mothers and fuckers, okay? Creation myth. I don't remember what the rest was, so I want to go back and pull that one again, since I did download the PDF. But I put a star next to that one because it was the wording on that one. And I can't tell if the creation myth was the myth of it being an issue to write, or if the myth was the story itself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Foreign rebel. All I could think about is being in Pathmark in Jersey, and she said, "Who your mother?" You know what? I might be a foreign rebel. I'll take that hat too. It's okay. Um, and then the last one, which I might put as the title of my journal for the writing class, is words could still be spoken. Do you see that permission there? You see how hey, do you want to live or you want to speak? What can I do both? I mean, is that okay? You know what I'm saying? So I like that. I felt all of that. In result of hearing those things, I wrote, the revolution may or may not be televised, but I will still hold the courage to revolutionize.
Okay. I love that.
I
Whoa.
went and got my list because, you are my intuitive auntie, my spiritual godmama. I don't care what they say. You are my spiritual godmama. And I got two things in my hand. Okay. The first one is a list I wrote while they were giving. Now I'm speaking, we're going to speak a little bit in code. While under constant confusion spells and distractions from writing, I kept getting frustrated and they kept getting my cortisol up. And I was like, no, 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 Kiki, don't do that. Be smarter. So I wrote a list to myself of the reasons I need to freaking speak up.
Mm-hmm.
So when you asked her, why are you in writing class? I went and got my notebook. Like, this is my reminder to self. I have plenty reasons to show up, whether I can show up for 2 minutes or the entire time. I will continue to show up until this gets out. I have respected family members who have conquered the matrix, or I'm sorry, accomplished great things in the matrix. However, I have witnessed them in full Stockholm syndrome when it comes to abuse and neglect of our own family members. And that has to be spoke on, just as the priest and the pastor was the person to come initiate the execution. Like it's like a dozen of eggs and they all cracked.
Right.
So the last thing is I happen to have the pamphlet for Terry Hess, which is a child advocacy center. So for abused children, basically it's like therapy that they can get, which links to psychotherapy. So that way the courts will have a document, hint, hint. Because as you know, I've been co-parenting with a narcissist. So it has been a journey. But in that moment, I felt that this is why I write, because you are my self advocacy and validation for the abuse that I have endured, that I have survived, that I have thrived in. So that's why I am here.
I love you.
I
Thank you
love
so
you so much.
I love you. And yo, let me tell you, you look and feel fucking ready. Like, damn. Okay. Okay. Um, Hi, Leela.
Saludos.
How are you?
I'm good. Listening.
I don't know if you heard the excerpt or like I don't know
I
what you
did.
caught. I don't know if you want to add on it to anything that's maybe come up in the conversation. Like, how are you feeling? What's going on?
A lot of resonance. I was able to hear you read the excerpt. Um, I was on the YouTube channel and decided I need to be in space. So thank you so much for welcoming me in. And just really sitting with Edwidge Danticat and this experience, especially as someone being from Quisqueya and Haiti, um, just yeah, just really sitting with like Edwidge, bringing us into this space from a different perspective, and sitting with this line of a power to choose. It brings up a conversation that or a practice that I have around the sacred pause, um, and the space between the inhale and the exhale. And some folks call it that sacred void, you know. So the space that we have to be able to make these choices is really sitting with me in these moments, you know, even just like the choice to like not be blindfolded and to ask to not be blindfolded. The choice to write these words down, the choice to read these words, especially in dangerous times when it could cause you your life. Um, yeah.
Thank you. I wanna I wanna piggyback on the last thing you said, which I think is beautiful. And thank you for joining us. Um, the first thing is I believe that we were chosen to do this. Those of us who are creating art, those of us who are creatives, those of us who are the writers, the poets, the songwriters, the singers, the dancers, the painters, the sculptors, the photographers, like we are all, like what we have in common is that we are called to create something and we are called to leave something. Whatever brought us to it may be different, but we are all called. And with that calling comes a choice. We're either going to answer the call or not. And that's where self-doubt comes in and the idea of imposter syndrome and all of that I'm not going to get into because we know it exists. We live with it. We know why we get blocked. We know why we stop creating. We know why we don't show up for ourselves. We know. So that's not what this time is for. This time is something that one of my best friends has said to me. His name is Rock Wilk. He's an incredible artist. He asked me back in 2010, when I completed my first play, a one-woman show. He asked me during the creative process, are you willing to die for this work? Are you willing to die to create the work you want to create? And that shit was fucking profound because I was like, wow, like it's not just writing for writing's sake. Like there's a fucking urgency to this. Like, are you willing to die for this work? And this is what Edwidge Danticat is talking about when she's saying create dangerously. Like, are you willing to die? Because there are people who are willing to die to read our work. They are fucking willing to hide those texts under the beds. And we are living in a society where we know books are being banned and they would prefer us not know our history and they want to burn our books and all of that. Are you willing? That's the question I'm posing for you. That's a meditation. I don't need you to answer. I don't need you to answer that. Are you willing to die for this? Like when you show up for anything you're creating. Are you willing to, like, you are called to this? Are you willing to die for it? Are you willing to risk it all? You know? And so sit with that, because, that's for you to decide, how badly you want this and how badly you need to get it out of your body. For me, writing has always felt like that. For me, writing has never felt, aside from creating workshops, like, there's a difference between me creating beautiful things and me writing hard things. A lot of what I create is hard, is rooted in something very personal to me. And when I think about my legend story, like how I got my start, it was a very specific, traumatic event that brought me to writing, where I understood that after that traumatic historical event, something was born, right? And so, you ready to write? Let's go. I'm picking which excerpt. All right, I'm gonna start with this excerpt. Let me put it in here. The prompt is the story that must be told, right? The stories that we're afraid to tell, why they matter. I'm not gonna discuss it because those of you who have written with me know. And so here's the prompt. I'm gonna put it in the chat and I'll read it. So here's your prompt. All right. What stories are we afraid to tell? Why do they matter? The prompt is write about a story, yours or someone else's, that needs to be told, no matter the cost. And so if I were to give you a jump off point, like the story I must tell, the story that needs to be told right now, I want you to move into this prompt with a lot of urgency and a lot of speed. I want it to be like, don't censor it, don't delete anything. I want it to be a stream of consciousness. Like, if you are someone who likes to handwrite, like, you're just flowing, you're just going based on whatever words. If you do not want that prompt and prefer to steal a line from Edwidge Danticaat's essay, feel free to do that. You are going to write in this first round for 10 minutes, just to kind of warm up. So go. The story that I must tell. Go. Begin. Go ahead and let's wrap that up. Let's breathe it out. And let's have you share. Let's hear it. What came up? Everybody's muted.
I'll go first.
Hey.
Okay. Okay. Remember you used to have to call me out? Look at there. Look at progress. Look at growth. All right. The story that needs to be told right now is the story of true power and integrity, the honoring of the inner child as well as the inner preteen and adolescent, the story of how your role in your family was predetermined. It is vital for the pulse of our next leaders to have a variety of polarizing perspectives, which is an instant validation that it is still okay to think outside the box. The story that needs to be told right now is the true power of innocence, naivete, bliss, joy, and dreamers, and how even the wealthiest of beings know the value of our freedom. There is an urgency to comfort the creators of our future. For if the cartoons aren't as wacky, we may not dream further or dig deeper. It may cause us to limit our own existence by only showing evidence of our oppressor's foot on neck. The urgency to defend free thinking and provide safe spaces for intellectual rebellion.
That last part. That last part. Yes, thank you. Loved it. Who else would like to share?
I will share what I was thinking about because I'm literally moving around and like unpacking suitcases and stuff. But it's nice to see everybody.
To see you, Asuka. You're unpacking also?
Yeah,
Things are happening.
happening, my love. Oh, but it's so good to see y'all. So what I was thinking about when you came with the prompt was some of the things that I have been slowly writing, and right now it needs urgency. And one of those is speaking truth to power around women and speaking truth to power around men's how do you call it? What do you call it? Men's innate like expectation of their women. And like trying to like redirect that power into a shared power instead of a dominance. I'm also trying to write the anxiety and depression story so that other people can know like we can get through this and you're not alone and it can look like many forms and that there is a safe space to do this work. Um, and then I'm just writing myself healed. Because now I've come into a portion of my life where I'm officially a bilingual trauma therapist. So I need to make sure that I'm working on my healing as well as I'm helping other people heal. So I'm writing that into existence as well as speaking it.
Oh,
So, yes.
beautiful. Thank you, Asuka. It's so good to see you. Who else wants to share?
I'm down to share.
Let's hear
This is
it.
Leela. I'll read what I wrote. I have a lot of stories, but which do I feel like I need to tell and why? Writing has always been an act of self preservation, of coping with my feelings, of making sense of my reality. I started to journal in the fourth grade in a hardbound journal. A white woman in a Victorian dress, blurry face, in a field of lavenders reminded me of the book I was trying to make sense of at the time, Sarah Plain and Tall. I was neither plain or tall.
Mm.
I was sitting in the dark of La Madrugada, mommy working at the toll of the Don Shula Expressway. Her shift started at 5, and we went with her until she could take a break to take us back to school. I appreciated the safety, or she could take us to school. I appreciated the safety of being in the car as opposed to having to wait the morning behind a bush by the playground. I never liked the way the janitor at school looked at me, scanning my body with his gaze. That fall, I started to gain weight as my nipples became more fleshy, young breasts poking through. I was angry and felt unsettled in a country where the language was not our own. I was angry at mommy for dragging me here, away from our familiar, from our family, our home. I haven't yet resolved the confusion of being plucked away and never coming back home. We moved around a lot those first 10 years in Miami. From Sweetwater to Allapattah to neighborhoods we stayed in for a season too short to ground in. I've never reconciled the questions unanswered and why my mother would even marry someone so unstable like my father. The choices that women make to their detriment, and how we choose others over ourselves, feed and tend to, or and expected to feed and tend um, to a system, to this patriarchy, and that's where I stopped.
Thank you. That description was beautiful, and what I heard was just like, in the way you wrote it, because I'm a writer. I'm the kind of writer who's very like fragmented. The way my things come out sometimes, in the urgency that I write and the speed. What I heard in your writing was very there was something about the pacing. There's something about your voice. There's something about, there's a readiness in this story in particular, um, that I'm finding really, really beautiful. And so I pray you keep fucking writing this, because you're ready. If there's anything I can give you, you are fucking ready. And that was 10 minutes. Listen, shit. What? Yo, Catherine.
Okay. It's a little scattered, but here we go. How about we begin with the truth y'all refuse to see, your true self? Cognitive dissonance, they call it, when you're so convinced and attached to your own programming that it doesn't matter how much evidence is in your face, the wool over your eyes won't let you see. Unable to see it, unable to smell it. When did you become so disconnected from your own senses, your human essence, that the only thoughts recurring in your mind are of survival? Who executed your inner child for being too loud, for having ingenious ideas, for dreaming? As I find myself trying to resuscitate mine, I wonder, when did you begin to do the same to every child around you? La herencia, the American dream, passed through generations. The reason you claim you came here for has become a shell of programs, negative self-talk, projected victimization, swimming in a pool of shame.
That's where you stopped?
Ooh. Can we all exhale?
Girl.
She eased us in there, and then
Yes,
she just snatched
please.
our wig. You snatched my girl. You
Yeah.
snatched my hair off.
I'm like,
My chest is like pounding.
hey,
That means you need to keep going, sis. Yeah.
old friend, listen. Oof. Like, I was there, like when you hit the pool part, I was like, like where you can go from there, where you must go from there, you know? Well done. Well done.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yo, it's a lot. It's a lot. But this is, this is what it means. This is what it means. This is what it means to like create dangerously. We could choose not to write it. Absolutely. We could choose not to write it, to not write the things that we've been called to write, or, I love the idea that let me find it in my notes. This, where is it? It was I'm looking for it. It was the myth. It was the line about the creation myth. Where is it? Is it in here? But my feeling is, yes, we can choose to not write it, or we can own that we are precisely the person to tell the story. We are exactly the ones, the right ones to get it down. And so, yeah, let's continue writing. I want to give you one more prompt today, just to kind of open you up a little bit wider. What does home mean, right? I want you to sit with that. What is home? What is home? The meaning of home, right? Your first connection to home, what home looks like, what it feels like, what you learned. In this prompt, you're going to go a little bit further, because you're going to not only be defining, you're not only going to be defining what home means to you, but everything that comes up. So allow everything to rise. I want you to flip it, right? So if you find yourself sitting with an emotion longer than you'd like to, change to the opposite emotion. So what do I mean by that? If you are writing about home and that experience with home is less favorable, your themes are abandonment, loss, grief, I want you to write that, but then I want you to find a moment where you pause and flip it and write the joyful parts, because I pray that there are some positive experiences, right? Like if we're just writing about the most traumatic, painful, like it's hard to come out of that. And so there's a few techniques that I like to use. Whenever I'm writing anything, I like to write the harder things first, so that the gentler things I can end my day with, so that I'm not holding that, carrying it all day and allowing it to like fuck me up fully. You feel me? And so I want you are responsible for you, and I need you to take care of you. And so as you're sitting with this idea of home, and there's a lot with that, ideas of belonging, love, family, like home means a lot of different things to us. But whatever you spend time writing, I want you to also write the opposite of that in this writing prompt. Does that make sense? Anyone have any questions? All right. Here's your prompt. I want you to describe a place, real or imagined, that defines home for you. What does it smell like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Like bring me into this idea of home, like really sit with it. This is going to be a longer prompt. I'm not going to tell you how much time you have. You're just going to go. You're just going to go. And so what is home? What is home? What is home? I hope you're writing this down. What is home? The first time you felt like you were home. Um, define home. Anything that you want to say about that. I want you to say it fully and completely, feeling everything and not allowing it. So if you feel yourself questioning something, keep going. Home to me is the last home Ready? Take a deep breath. Maybe get up for a minute. Get up for a minute. Stretch, because you've been sitting for a long time. Stretch. Get up. I want you to like stretch your arms out, right? Like spread your legs apart. I want you to stretch up. Inhale. I want you to bend forward. Exhale. I want you to come up slowly. Again. Inhale. Exhale. Come up slowly. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. All right, family. Yeah, because you gotta move your body. Gotta move your body. Gotta shift the energy. And I want you to do things differently in this prompt. I want you to play music that reminds you of home. If you feel like sometimes I like to write with music. If you feel like that's not a distraction, something that triggers that memory, that those senses, right? So that you can get into the details. Maybe it's a song that reminds you of home. Yes? Begin. Welcome, Miko, mi amor. 20 minutes. Oh, shit, I wasn't telling you. Go. Family, you're doing amazing. You got 2 minutes. Come on, lean in. Really go there. I feel that energy. I'm proud of you because I know this is a long ass fucking prompt and not an easy one to write. I'm holding you down. I'm sending you love. You are doing amazing. Let's go. You got 1 more minute. Make it great. I feel you in my heart, fam. Family, that is time. Wrap it up with a nice bow. And tell me how you're feeling before you share anything with me. I want to know how you're feeling in your body. How's your mind? How's your heart? How's your spirit? Talk to me. Let's kind of breathe because you did the thing. Mhm.
I'm sad.
You're sad. I'm hugging you. Mhm. Why? What happened?
Got to a place where I realize I'm still creating.
Take your moment. Take your moment.
Like I'm still. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
I'm still creating it.
You're still creating home. Mhm.
Until you come to a realization of like your past homes weren't really your homes.
Mm. Ooh. I love you. That's a fucking breakthrough, friend. It's all right. Is there anything else you want to say? You can take a moment, you can come back, whatever you want to do.
I
Come
think
on.
she said come back to her and she went on mute. Okay. Um Initially you asked how I was feeling.
Mhm.
I feel proud and I want her to hear this too. I feel proud and I feel triumphant because last year, had you asked me that same prompt, you know damn well. You've heard me. You've seen me at my grandma's house hiding, trying to feel heard and seen and afraid of what I'm going to say out loud that's going to be judged.
Mhm.
And you know that I was going through a homelessness journey because I protected my child. So I am very proud to be able to pivot because as soon as you said it, that was actually my intention. So I love you for that. Um, and I want this young lady to know that literally in writing class is where I went through this and where I felt that and where I was able to have a different perspective at all of what home could even mean.
Mm.
And
Mm.
today I'm very proud of in that period of time what I was able to write. Not only that, the music, you said something about music, and now instead of this being this stiff memoir I thought I had to write about a hard home, this could be a monologue with a fire ass beat. Like I and I want you to know that this woman right here is the one who reminded me that home is within us.
Mm.
And we've already written, so I'm letting you know that reminder, home is within you.
Mhm.
and you making that new choice to have that new home. Congratulations to both of you guys, because y'all know I'm next. Y'all know God is in the neighborhood. Y'all already know how that goes. But I want you to know, congratulations. Because
Yes.
you did a thing. You did a big thing. You knew it was okay to go somewhere. That is a big thing.
I
So
love
that's how I'm feeling. And
Thank
I'm
you.
holding space. I'm holding space here as well for y'all. I love y'all.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Someone else. Tell me how you feeling. Y'all not feeling like sharing? It's okay. It's okay if you don't want to say anything.
I felt a sadness and a release. I was able to cry, I think, at the end, and yeah.
Sadness and release. Word.
I can relate to that. I felt kind of bipolar. It was like the original home compared to like you guys are talking about like what I'm creating now as my home, and like the polar opposition, the two ends of that spectrum, and how different those two worlds are.
Mm. Mm. Oof. How different those two worlds are. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to say?
I appreciate you telling us to flip the energy, because I was able to make it playful, and it felt nice to do that, to because we've been releasing a lot and going deep and all of that, but I feel like this puts a nice little bow on it to kind of like, all right, yeah, let's do the shadow work, let's get it out, let's process, let's go through it, feel it, but
Right.
also let's come back to ourselves, let's come back to home and like remember who the fuck we are, kind of thing.
I love that. Word. Can we get back to fucking joy?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gonna give ourselves permission
Can we
to
please?
enjoy.
Yeah, I love that. Miko, baby, how you doing? Let me hear your
Oh,
voice.
hi. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. I'm so grateful to be here. And I came in during like someone was reading, and so immediately my energy was like grounded and brought to a space of um just deep insight about childhood and what that looked like. Um, and this prompt, I'm super emotional, let's be clear. I've been crying whatever's going on with my heart, I'm so open. I cry all the time now. So it's fine. And it's just a thing, right? So this prompt for me, it was like the root of it, right? Like, what was your first idea of home? And coming to the realization that the lessons that I have been going through all these years has been always for me to realize that it's with myself. It just, took a very long time in order for me to get there. And it took having everything taken away in order for me to be able to come to that realization on my own. If we get to the place space of reading our stories, then I'll read it. But ultimately, just like the evolution of your mother being your first home to like transitioning that into yourself. And what does that look like? Like, how do you transition the onus from your mother to yourself, the journey of that, right? And so I'm super emotional about it. My relationship with my mother is not the best. It is getting better, but it still is what it is. And realizing like this is why we do the work so that we don't have children that are just filled with different traumas behind our actions. So it's really for me just like I've written about this before, so it's not like new, but it's different in the epiphany of like, damn, like we all have these freaking issues.
Mhm.
And so it's just more of the like connected tissue of like, yeah, we really are one. And this is so beautiful to be able to share this space and listen and be listened to. So thank you.
Word.
I don't know if you want us to share. I was gonna ask if I could share. I would love to share with y'all how I came up with a disco round.
Let's hear a brief excerpt. Go. Your favorite lines. Your favorite lines.
All right, first off, the first song would have been Never Too Much, Never Too Much, doom, doom, doom. And the way I initiated is I said, in realm 3, if anyone asked it, if an NPC asked me what was home, I would answer like, and then I kind of went into how I would have answered. And then I said, as an empress of Earth 5D, what home is to me is the R&B, the bleach of cleaning on a Saturday morning, the chicken soup for the soul I read on the front porch. I would tell you all about Xavier and our growth and our mother-son bond. Wink, wink. Get it? Mommy issues. I would tell you how I went from the delegated home and the transformative disrobing
Mm.
of taking that home off a pedestal and making every next breath my home. That's it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
And the song was that Kendrick na 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 because it has the same Luther Vandross but it's revamped. Get it? You know.
Yep.
I can share a little bit. I'll share the ending, two stanzas. Home is, I never thought of it that way. Let's do something different. Home is, let's never go to bed angry because I want a butterfly kiss your eyelids when you sleep. Home is relief. The puzzle is almost finished. The grind is almost over. Su descansa alegado. Home is something I am creating. Home is kintsugi. It is placing the last piece, the last puzzle piece. Finally, home is as long as my heart is beating. Here you can find rest. Home is where I am me without apology.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
That's so special. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing, obviously, but I'm trying to find like a good space. So backstory, to give context. I was with my mother until I was about 4, and then I was in foster care. And after foster care, I ended up at my grandmother's from Louisiana to LA. From my grandmother's, I went to Seattle to be with an aunt. So there was just a whole bunch happening before I was 6. So at this point, my sister is no longer with us. She's moved, and I'm about 10 going to her graduation in a different city and state. So I went to visit my sister for her high school graduation. By that time, she'd moved to Sacramento, California. I was so excited to see her. I dreamt of all the fun things we'd do once I got there. And to my surprise, after I hugged her and gave her flowers after the ceremony, right there on the football field, she decided to leave with her friends and left me there standing with my dreams. It was then that I knew she wasn't my home either. Years later, maybe I'm like 12 at this point. I'm at the community center I basically grew up at, and a random lady came up to me and said, "Is that your mom?" She said, pointing to my aunt. I said, "Yeah." So she says, "Will she claim you?" That question startled me. I didn't know the answer. I kind of shrugged and said a weak yeah. The lady went up to my aunt and said, "Excuse me, is she yours?" My aunt turned from her conversation and said, "Yeah." with a smile. They had a quick exchange, and something happened inside of me at that moment. For the first time, I was sure that my aunt loved me and wasn't going to leave me or choose someone or something else over me. And that's it. That's all I had time to write.
Beautiful,
But
Nicole.
it basically is just like the importance of like children. I'm obsessed with like adoption and foster children and like black children adopting white children adopting black. I'm just totally obsessed with it. And the thing that I've always found is that the child needs the reassurance of being seen and of
Mhm.
being like secure in the knowing the foundation of like, no, no matter what happens, you belong to me, I belong to you, you're my mom, you're my dad, we're family, you're not going anywhere. And so it's just really fascinating how truly family was the first home. That's really like what I'm trying to say. But the issue for me is I didn't have that. I didn't have that until some random stranger presented these questions
Mhm.
because my aunt at no point was ever like, I mean, how often do you go up to your child and have them sit down and be like, hey, you're mine, I'm yours, you're never going anywhere. That's not like a normal thing that you do typically, but
Mhm.
it's needed, especially for children who've been abandoned or adopted or whatever, you know? So,
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you. Family, my heart is full, first of all. Thank you for just coming to hang out with me on a Sunday and really not knowing what the fuck you were getting into today when you were like, I'm gonna go do this writing workshop with Alicia because, whatever brought you here today, whatever made you feel like, yeah, I'm ready. Um, I'm proud of you because I know that that writing isn't always it's never easy. It's never easy to write. So thank you. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being here. And um I'm starting the workshop next week. The actual series starts next Sunday. So I'm going to give you all of the spiel for the schedule, right? So it's Sundays from 3 to 6. It's March 2nd, March 23rd, April 20th, May 4th. I'm holding them. This is going to be the first time I do an in-person workshop in 5 years because the last in-person workshop that I did was right before the pandemic at Word Up. And so we're going to be meeting at Word Up Community Bookshop in New York. I'll drop the link in here in a moment for how to register. You can attend, you can pay the one full course price, right? And it's all 4 classes. You can pay single for the single sessions. You can just take the one you want. Don't feel like you have to commit to all 4 if that's not something that you can do. And yeah, I mean, do you have any questions for me? Do you have any questions before I let you go and before I close? Because those are the details. That's all I want you to know about how the sessions are going to be run. Yes, they're going to be virtually also. So they'll be in person, and I cannot wait to hug so many of you in person. And then virtually for people who want to participate and be a part of it online via Zoom. Any questions about today, about the workshop, anything? Nothing?
You also have a writing tour coming up, right? Or some kind of tour. I feel like I've seen something about you coming to, I'm in New Orleans, so
Are you? So,
I was gonna ask you about how it feels to be touring with, because good.
well, this has nothing to do with the tour. However, in full transparency, know this, anything you take with me, any services you pay for is 100% of the proceeds are going to this tour. And this world tour is the craziest shit I have ever said yes to. Spirit said to me, you need to be out in the streets in real time. And I said yes. And my first 4 cities are LA, plane ticket bought. Chicago, plane ticket bought. New Orleans, plane ticket bought. And what's the fourth? Is it Puerto Rico? I think it's Puerto Rico, plane ticket bought. And so I'm fully funding this world tour. And it's a La Santera world tour. And basically I'm coming to be in community. So I'm going to be in these cities 3 days, providing workshops and spiritual workshops and ceremony and breaking bread and hanging out and going dancing and drinking wine and like doing all the things. And I'm going to 9 cities. It's a 9-city tour. It's different from this writing workshop. This is me. This is work. This is my job. This is work. And the tour is me going to be in community and play and bring the joy. I'm coming to see people like in real time. So that's different. That's not, I mean, there's writing, of course, because I always make people write, but that's the only difference. Yeah, Marquita, what's up, baby?
So as a original Clubhouse baby and as a revisiting Clubhouse baby, your Clubhouse family miss you, and there's a resurgence in the energy on the app. And I believe that during your tour, it would be beneficial if you get that voice out there, because I guarantee you people will join that tour or donate to your tour. I am willing in abundance, y'all. I have a $700 million check I wrote myself on my altar. So my brain is full of abundance. And I felt the need to tell you that, like, go ahead and show up. Your voice is needed right now. It's a little bit too much chaos and it needs a little more grounding. And I know you have a full plate. So, of course, this is with your blessing. But whenever you show up, please let us know, because you could benefit, but we also need you too.
Love that. Thank you. Say less. Come on. Say less. Absolutely. Yes to Clubhouse. Yes to the podcast. Yes to our voices out there. Like, yeah. Any other questions, fam? Did you unmute me?
I, yeah, I did. I'm hesitating, but for some reason there's this thing that just popped up in my mind, like, are you willing to hold space for like larger community gatherings, in the sense of like, I don't know exactly what it would look like, but maybe like yeah, that's why I'm hesitating, because long story short, I know like some like spaces that definitely need like a energetic cleanse. And so I'm like, I don't even know if that's something that you would be down for, because I kind of feel like the energy of that may be a lot, right? And so it's like, my first thought was just like, hey, I wonder if she'd be open to facilitating just like a big community workshop at this beautiful space that I know of with people who definitely need it. But
Yeah.
then it was like,
Yes. Completely free too. Yes. Yes, Miko, because I've been sitting with that. I've been waiting for someone to offer that very thing.
oh
Yeah.
wow, okay. So I mean, granted, I need to like go to the organization and tap in with the folks who own it and like, go through that whole process.
The proposal already written, Miko. Say less. I can email it to you today.
Oh wow, okay. Well, go ahead and slide on through, and then I'll tap in with them and see what their schedule looks like, because they're like a full business, and they have all these things on their plate. So I don't
Well,
even know.
the line's beautiful. If it doesn't, you will still invite them. Like my dates,
Totally.
my dates are not flexible because plane tickets are purchased.
Exactly. Exactly. So no. Okay. Well, yeah, let's tap in. Just email me, or I'll email you, whatever. Once you send it.
Ah, hello. Look at God, Miko. Don't be
Right.
hesitant when God is saying, tell her this happens. Beautiful.
And it's a community of like Black and Spanish people. So it's so like yummy. It's so yummy. I love it.
Already done.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
can I say, as soon as Miko started talking, first of all, Miko, I needed to hear that because I hesitate every other word, being too much of a human. Y'all know how that go. But I don't want to say Alicia. I saw La Santera sitting on a big chair with people around her while she's reading. You know how she read to us and we just be all enchanted. I just see you reading to us. And I can't wait to bring my son to meet you and listen to you tell a story so he could get more creative because he already be rapping and singing. These kids would eat that up. To hear you, ooh, the way you talk. I've never wanted to read essays until you read us essays. I want you to know that. I really do. I read. I've been reading since a child, but the way that you read, you bring life to us. You make us interested in whatever it is. You really do.
Damn, Marquita. Gassing me all the way up.
Giving Empress
Leo,
Back.
energy.
I'm here to gas the Leo, baby.
Catherine.
Hey,
Well, I
Right
was
listen,
here, right here, Mira. Snake ear, all of it,
yes.
all of it.
all of it.
Fun. Well, I'm
What?
gonna
Time
dip
out,
my
spirit.
thing in the finger. I'm gonna dip my finger in the pot. I do want you on my podcast, Madrina, please. And thank you. Yes. At least 30 minutes of your wisdom for
Oh,
us peons out here.
no, not peons. Family, stop.
And we love you. We love you. Seriously. Seriously. More people need to get your wisdom. And I would love to interview you for fun on my podcast. Please and thank you.
You know me, Mama. You have my contact info. You have my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Message me.
Feel
Well, it's
free.
really like so many people are having a physical representation of God
Mm,
in such a like grounded, just
wow.
wise being, right? So it's like as soon as just the presence of the energy. So that's really what it is for me. It's like introducing people to the seriousness of God and to the beauty of what it looks like if you really take it seriously. And that's really what I want people to see. I want people to see, like, look, if you take this shit serious, look at that. Look, so that's really like, that's really what I want. Because I could tell people all day, but it don't make a difference because my vessel, right? Like, it doesn't give, they feel it's too close to them. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, yeah, yeah. So that's it.
No, like it is incredibly profound what you're saying, right? Like, because what you're saying is like, come and meet, come and meet a product of God. Come and have a conversation with God.
Yes,
Come and have a conversation with God, which for those of us who know religious and spiritual text, where two people gather, God is
right, right, right.
where two people gather. And so that is the intention behind me going in person to see people, because where we gather, come on, we're co-creating magic. That's what we did today. And so thank you for being here today. That's the link for next Sunday. And yeah, let's write. Let's be together. And I can't wait to come to the cities. Like Catherine, Philly should have been on my tour, and so should have Atlanta and Texas.
Mhm.
Let's just see how this year goes, right? I also said I'm not.
Let me know. I definitely have a few connections here that I'm making, so would love to have
You
you here
know,
as well.
and
Mhm.
Charlotte, I already had the dream that I don't even know if you and certain people are still associated, but you and another person I kind of met around the same time. I already had the dream that y'all were already here in like this bookstore setting. So you already were here. So come on.
Right. So we're gonna talk. No,
Mhm.
it's bigger than what I even thought. So
And if you go back in this video and watch, there's a portion where your La Santana chain is just like blinging, like it's just flashing. So it's so weird. Like you're talking, but I'm distracted by the light on your necklace. And it's just like, You know how like the SOS, how it's like a flashlight clicking different languages or whatever? Not SOS. What is it? Generic code? Something. Anyway, Spirit be doing some amazing things. So if you just look back and go, I'm like, what is happening? Not the chain talking to us.
I love that. Family, I love you. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being, oh, Morse code. Yes, the Morse code. I love you. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you in the workshops, in person, wherever Spirit sends you to be near me. And get some good rest, eat some good food, and email me if you have any questions or message me. All right? I love you. Thank you so much. Keep fucking writing.
Gracias.
Yes, gracias.
Y muchísimas gracias.
Thank you again. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Always.
Love you.
Dangerously. I love you. Bye, fam.
Bye, honey.